Who are the Blood Angels? The Blood Angels, originally known as the Revenant Legion, were the Ninth Legion of the original Space Marine legions under their Primarch Sanguinius. They are particularly known for their bloodthirsty nature in battle. They are also one of the most long-lived chapters and have a refined aesthetic sense. The homeworld of the Blood Angels is the planet Baal and its two moons, Baal Primus and Baal Secundus, from which the Blood Angels take their new recruits. The Blood Angels Primarch Sanguinius fell upon Baal Secundus after he and his brother Primarchs were scattered across the galaxy. In ancient days, Baal and its moons had Terra-like atmospheres. Baal itself was always a world of red rust deserts, but its moons were close to paradises. As the Dark Age of technology ended, and the Age of Strife, civil war erupted between the world and its colonized moons, leading to the nuclear devastation of the planetary system. Baal Secundus had since been a nuclear-blasted wasteland with deadly levels of radiation. This forced the world's human tribes to build cumbersome radiation suits in order to survive. Mutants were once rife upon the world, frequently at war with their remaining pure humans for dominance of the planet. The Blood Angels were created from the genetic material of Sanguinius, their Primarch. As with all of the other Primarchs, Sanguinius was genetically engineered to be a supreme super soldier, but was cast into the warp during his infancy, just like his brother Primarchs, and was found on the nuclear-blasted moon of Baal Secundus. Originally known as the Ninth Legion, the early records of the Legion show a noted absence in many of the key conquests of the Unification Wars. Instead, the Legion acted as the Emperor's inferno, ravaging and annihilating any foe they were unleashed upon. Few in number, they often served as vanguards and waged battles in small and audacious raids, focusing mainly on murderous close combat. They were often deployed to the most dangerous war zones against the most twisted of enemies, holding the line alone and out of the spotlight. This was a role fitting for them as the early Ninth Legion recruited from the lost and dispossessed of Terra. Despite bearing the marks of mutation, they were genetically sculpted into tall and fair, elegant specimens. However, other dark rumors followed the Legion, which soon earned them the title of Eaters of the Dead, due to their habit of consuming enemy corpses after battle. As the Unification Wars transitioned into the Great Crusade, the Ninth Legion was deployed to hellish backwater war zones such as Neptune. On the moons of Neptune, 12,000 warriors of the Ninth disappeared, but nonetheless managed to endure and complete their mission. They had largely replenished their numbers taken from the barely human dregs of Neptune's tunnels. Where others may have floundered and fallen, the Ninth had risen from the ashes of defeat. And this was a process that would be repeated again and again. This led Malcador the Sigillite dubbing them the Revenant Legion. They often found themselves in the company of those legions less favored by the lords of the Imperium, such as the Warhounds. Each new bloody victory, the dire legends that surrounded the Ninth grew and spread. They became specters that haunted the wild places of the Great Crusade, the terrors loosed by the Emperor to clear his path across the stars. The Ninth accepted this duty with a grim pride, never shirking in the mantle that they wore. Each campaign was undertaken with a quiet, brooding hunger for blood and death that was as terrifying as it was effective. They fought without mercy and paid no heed to anything other than the destruction of the enemy. Shunned and isolated from the wider Imperium, they began to descend into carnal cults and bloody ritual. Various red cults formed as the Legion was broken apart by the widening crusade, and their brutality attracted censure to places such as Yarant. They began to only maintain line infantry and jump troops, in part due to the reluctance of the Imperium to supply them with more advanced weapons. Meanwhile, on Baal, Sanguinius was affected by the warp, and when he was found by one of the few unmutated human tribes on Baal, he had a pair of angelic wings growing from his back. As he matured quickly, he was able to use his superhuman powers and abilities to unite the humans on Baal against the mutants and become their leader. When the Emperor found Baal in his search for the 20 Primarchs, Sanguinius immediately recognized him for who he was and knelt before him, pledging his service to the Emperor. In this, Sanguinius was one of the few Primarchs who did not challenge the Emperor upon their reunion. The Emperor then took Sanguinius and a number of his best warriors and placed him in command of the dark and brutal Ninth Legion, which he had come to name the Blood Angels. During the latter part of the Great Crusade, the Blood Angels became known as being excellent shock assault troops and formed a rivalry with the similarly assaulted-oriented World Eaters Legion. Throughout the Great Crusade, the Blood Angels became renowned for their War of Ultimatum. These campaigns of open domination against non-compliant worlds began with Sanguinius, or one of his praetors, affording a world one opportunity to embrace unification or face a day of revelation, in which they would suffer the fury of the Blood Angels unleashed. Many foes confronted by the gathered Angels Legion hosts were overcome with dread and awe, and capitulated without hesitation. Those who did not would see the shining countenance of the angel Sanguinius transformed into a savage fury as blinding destruction was delivered from on high. However, despite their newfound fame and nobility, the Legion continued to battle with its own demons. The bloodlust that defined the early Legion remained, and Sanguinius desperately sought to both keep it a secret and find any solution he could to alleviate it. During the Horus Heresy, Horus dispatched the Blood Angels to the farthest reaches of space, where they unwittingly walked into traps of his and his master's devising. The Blood Angels' mission to Cygnus cluster near the galactic core in the Ultima Sigmatum was one such venture, where the system of 7 planets and 15 moons had been taken over in bloody slaughter by the demonic hordes of the greater demon Slaanesh. Kyrus, the perverse, thinking that they were arriving to liberate humans from their Xeno-overlords, Sanguinius had no reason to suspect that his best friend, the War Master Horus, would betray him. When the Blood Angels' fleet arrived in the system, they were assaulted by chaos energies, ravaging their navigators and astropaths, killing many outright, as well sending mad panic through the Legion's ship serfs and auxiliaries, who, until then, had never felt the effects of chaos. Most Space Marines were immune to its effects due to their training in iron will, leaving those few not driven mad to restrain the crazed crew members and erect psychic baffles. The demon conqueror of Cygnus, Kyrus, had time, however, to beam an image of itself to the Legion's Primarch, challenging him to take back Slaanesh's newest conquest. At this, Sanguinius gathered his senior officers and organized a counterattack against the foe they had no experience fighting. However, sure of their victory, Sanguinius declared, "This foul creature will know what it is to face my wrath. I shall strike him down, and I shall be an angel of vengeance." With Cygnus Prime covered from pole to pole with the result of demonic invasion, with millions lying dead in the streets or held in prison camps to await demonic whims, with cities razed, oceans boiled, and plains burned to cinders, the Blood Angels Legion struck in a furious assault. Falling from the skies to engage crazed cultists and packs of hideous demons upon the plains of the damned, Sanguinius soared to personally cast Kyrus down and vanquish him. So hence made for the Cathedral of the Mark the demon's lair. However, outside its entrance, Sanguinius was faced with the single greatest foe who would have the greatest effect on his legion and its descendants down the millennia, Kabanda, greater demon and bloodthirster of Khorne. Confronting the angel, the bloodthirster spoke, attempting to sway him to chaos. "Why do you fight us, so-called angel? You may be able to best me, but you cannot hope to defeat chaos. My lord Khorne is powerful, and beyond means you can imagine. Your emperor is weak and foolish. Even now, he hides from us. Is he afraid to fight?" To this, Sanguinius rebuked, commanding the demon to get out of his way and to allow him to cast down his master or be destroyed. To which Kabanda scoffed that his only master is Khorne, and that he does not realize the threat which the demons and chaos hold for humanity, and that their ally Horus has led Sanguinius here into a trap whilst moving to lay siege against Terra. Kabanda further tempts Sanguinius once more to join the forces of Khorne and destroy Kyrus and rule the Cygnus cluster. Sanguinius rejected the news that Horus was lying in bed with demons, claiming it as lies and proclaiming that nothing could entice him to spit on his oath of loyalty to the emperor, from which he then launched himself at the demon. Sanguinius stabbed Kabanda through the chest, casting a terrible wound. The demon replied in pain and anger with the lash of his great whip, which caught the angel's legs and crushed them within its coils before being knocked to the ground by the flat of his foe's axe. With the beast towering over him, he taunted at it. "Come at me again, demon. Feel the lick of my sword a second time if you dare," to which Kabanda replied, "I let you live this time, manling. Your legs will heal, but this wound will always fester." It was at this moment the beast let loose a mighty howl and darted across the battlefield, cutting down no less than 500 sons of Sanguinius. Their progenitor cast down, the Blood Angels redoubled their efforts, becoming filled with the dark berserker fury which drove them to destroy the demon horde and cleanse all of Cygnus Prime. Those demons who did not fall by their blades fled back into the Immaterium along with their overlord Kyrus. As they came to victory, their rage and fury subsided, whereupon they became aware of their success. However, they had no reason to celebrate, with thousands of their brothers lying amongst the demon dead, and their Primarch cast down in a dark shadow of the rage and fury they had so recently possessed looming upon their souls. When their father awoke, his legs had already healed due to his genetic abilities as a Primarch. However, nothing could be done for the searing anguish he felt for the loss of his sons at the hands of Kabanda. Within a few days, he would manage to walk, but the agony upon his soul would not abate, and with his heavy weight, he vowed that whatever the future, whatever the cost, he would rain vengeance upon down the demon Kabanda. After the battle in the Cygnus cluster, the Blood Angels were able to link up with Ultramar, and under the watchful eyes of Guilliman, Sanguinius was eventually crowned Emperor of Imperium Secundus. Ultimately, after a number of disasters and clashes between Guilliman, Sanguinius, and Lion L. Johnson, in a vision by Sanguinius that the Emperor was alive, Imperium Secundus was abolished. The three Primarchs led their legions in an attempt to breach the ruined storm and reach Terra. Through an arduous journey, they eventually reached Davin, the nexus of the ruined storm, and engaged a vast demonic host. After the battle and the destruction of Davin, a way to Terra through the ruined storm was clear. However, in their way stood many enemy blockades, as Horus had foreseen this route. Sanguinius and the Blood Angels raced directly for Terra, as was their destiny, while Guilliman and L. Johnson led the Ultramarines and Dark Angels in diversionary attacks against Horus's blockade. During the Horus Heresy, the Blood Angels were one of the few legions who fought alongside the Emperor during the Battle of Terra. Led by Sanguinius, the Blood Angels fought with particular renown at the Eternity Gate. During the clash, Sanguinius banished first Kabanda and then Angron back to the Warp. Later, both Sanguinius and Roldoran led a Blood Angels contingent as the Emperor launched a boarding action of Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. Separated from his sons, it was here that Sanguinius finally faced his destiny, battling the traitorous War Master, dying in the process. The death of Sanguinius caused the Black Rage to suddenly fall upon the Blood Angels, both on the Vengeful Spirit and Terra. Bombarded by horrific visions of their father's murder, the Blood Angels rampaged across the battlefield and butchered both loyalist and traitor alike. The madness eventually passed, and the Emperor, victorious in striking down Horus, and in the aftermath of the siege, Woldarin and 500 other surviving Blood Angels held a funeral service for Sanguinius. After the heresy, Roldoran became the new master of the Blood Angels, as the Black Rage began to manifest regularly. It fell to the sanguinary priest of the chapter to try and control those suffering from the Black Rage. Yet, in the countless generations since the heresy, genetic deterioration in the Blood Angels gene seed have seen an increase in this flaw. Unfortunately, after the heresy, as with all other loyal legions, the Blood Angels were eventually forced to split into many smaller chapters. There is a flaw that the Blood Angels possess, and that flaw is known as the Red Thirst, which is a psychological need to drink human blood. They abstain from drinking it for a long time, they grow weaker and even age. Chapter Master Dante abstained from drinking blood for centuries, and he eventually developed wrinkled skin and white hair like an old man, and likewise felt psychologically worn out. When Baal was attacked by Tyranids, Dante was too emotionally and physically exhausted to lead the defense. But he then drank the blood of one of his servants, killing the servant in the process, and he was rejuvenated physically and mentally. On the other hand, if a Blood Angel does not resist the Red Thirst at all, he will eventually mutate into a monstrous form with fangs and a bat-like face, and walk on all fours like a gorilla. The Blood Angels regularly drink bottled blood, which is usually donated willingly by their serfs. They often mix this blood with wine, which they call karish. However, blood is more satisfying when taken directly from the body of a living person. It's even better if the victim dies in the process. The Blood Drinkers, a successor chapter of the Blood Angels, have a rite called the Rite of Holos, wherein they start by drinking blood donated by their serfs, but end with eating a prisoner alive. The death of that one prisoner is more satisfying than blood from 100 serfs. The Blood Angels themselves have occasionally lost control and attacked and killed their own allies to have their blood, even when they had plenty of bottled blood on hand. All Blood Angels and their successors may one day suffer from the Black Rage. When they succumb to this, typically in the heat of battle, they think they are their Primarch Sanguinius in battle with Horus. In the Black Rage, the sufferer struggles to distinguish friend from foe. He might even attack his own brothers, something which usually doesn't happen with the Red Thirst. The Black Rage is incurable and so difficult to manage that those who succumb are regulated to either the Tower of the Lost on Baal or transferred to the Death Company. In the Death Company, they seek to find a quick, honorable death on the field of battle. The origins of the Red Thirst and Black Rage is hotly debated by the Blood Angels and their successors. Some blame the process of insanguination, others in deep-rooted chaos, corruption, and Sanguinius as he was transported to Baal. The Mechanicum has observed that Blood Angels have an overactive homophagia. On this, combined with their blood rituals, may have caused them to become more strongly affected by past memories than others. Others discuss the impact of Baal Secundus's strange cocktail of chemical toxins and radiation, as well as past evidence of mutation among the populace. The Blood Angels consider the Red Thirst to be shameful and keep it a secret from the rest of the Imperium, although by the end of the 41st millennium it has become an open secret, with many Imperials, including Guilliman, being aware of it. The Black Rage is also something of an open secret. Though outsiders cannot distinguish it from the Red Thirst, the Blood Angels stave off the Red Thirst and Black Rage in part by practicing fine art as a hobby, such as painting or sculpting. Somehow, this has a soothing effect on the inhuman beast inside of them. The successor chapter angels, Penitent, used to do the same, but gave it up, and since then they suffer the Red Thirst and the Black Rage at a much increased rate. The Red Thirst has been with the Blood Angels since before the Horus heresy, and even Sanguinius suffered from it, albeit in a mild form. The Black Rage has been with the Blood Angels since the death of Sanguinius. The Primaris line of Blood Angels are more resistant to both the Red Thirst and the Black Rage, though not immune, so the Blood Angels must still have a death company. When he created the Primaris Blood Angels, Belisarius Call decided that the Emperor deliberately gave the Blood Angels the Red Thirst for whatever reason, and so did not try to remove it completely. Hello everyone, this video was brought to you by Warhammer 40k Space Marine Part 2. Unleash deadly abilities and devastating weaponry to obliterate the relentless Tyranid swarms. Defend the Imperium in spectacular third-person action in solo or co-op modes when you pre-order the Gold Edition today. You'll have access to the base game, Macaridge's Chosen DLC, a complete season pass, and exclusive access to the full game 3 days before its release. Pre-order your copy today at Amazon.com. Just click the link in the description. I'm Travis J, and thank you for all your love and support. I'm out. Peace.